Let's learn how to add a vintage effect to any photo. To create this effect, we're going to use some free overlays from online. To find these overlays, open the free resources PDF that's included in the course exercise files. Then you can click on the Vintage Overlays link. This link will take you to this page. From here, scroll down a little ways until you find a big button that says Download my free vintage photo texture overlays. Go ahead and click on that button. This will pop up asking if you want to download all of the free resources. Just say no thanks, and now you should have a folder downloading. Okay, that took a little while, but once it finishes downloading, just unzip the file. And now you should have a folder full of these beautiful vintage overlays. After you've done all that, go ahead and come back to Affinity Photo. Now we can go ahead and download one of those vintage overlays to this photo. So I'll just use the Place Image tool. And I'm going to use the first one for this effect. I'll click and drag to add this to the image. And you can go ahead and feel free to adjust this however you want. You can also squish this a little bit if you want to keep the edges in this. And with that all set up, now we can go ahead and use the overlay blend mode. Just like adding the texture in a previous video, overlay works perfect for textures. Now, obviously this needs a little bit of adjustment to make this look more vintage. So let's start by removing the color. I'll go to our adjustments and I'll apply an HSL adjustment. I'll lower the saturation all the way. That looks pretty good. And now to add a little bit of yellow tinting, we can use the white balance adjustment. I'm just going to increase this slider a little bit to add that vintage look. That looks great. Now that the colors are better, I don't really like how dark this overlay blend mode is making the temple look. So I'm going to click on our vintage layer and I'm going to add a mask to it. Then I'm going to grab the paintbrush tool and I'm going to paint in black paint with a low flow just to remove a little bit of the texture on the temple. That way it doesn't look quite so dark. Okay, this already looks better. Here's the before and after, just brightening up a few areas. And now that I've seen the temple looking brighter, I think I want the whole thing to be brighter. So I'm going to click on our top layer and I'm just going to add a curves adjustment to brighten everything up. I'll click and drag on the center of the curve to bring that up. Then I'm just going to invert this layer with Command or Control I so that it's being applied to nothing. Then I can grab white paint and paint this only over the temple to brighten it up. Now I'm painting with a pretty low flow. You can always raise this to speed up the process. As I was painting, I accidentally brightened this area and now it looks too bright. So I'll just take black paint and paint over that to darken it again. And now you can see the before and after of brightening up the temple. Okay, as one last finishing touch, old photos usually have less contrast because they're a little bit faded. To create that effect, we can use the curves adjustment again. This time, I'm going to lower the white point right here, bringing this down. This will make the highlights darker. And I'll also raise this side, making the shadows lighter. I don't want the shadows to become too light, so I'm going to click about here and I'll bring this down a little bit. But you can see how this has faded our photo quite a bit. Here's the before and after of that. And now I'll just hold Shift and click to select all of our layers so that we can see the complete before and after. This effect is so cool. I think this looks amazing. Now that you know how to create a vintage effect, in the next video, we'll explore the soft glow effect.